Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. I hope you're all doing well today. Ladies and gentlemen, information is power. And without information, you're just going to go along to get along because you're going to take the word of those people that enact policies that you have to follow while they don't have to follow them. Today I want to talk about natural gas. And why is it that we are paying almost 3 times, if not more than 3 times, for natural gas than we were 2 years ago? There is a reason why, and I'm going to get to that. But first I want to cover this chart right here. If you take a look at this chart, we're going to go back to, what is it? January of 2021. I almost said 1921. January of 2021, the price of natural gas was 2.44. 2.44, right? Today, as you can see, or this is a couple of days back, but it's probably about the same. It's 5.95. It's more than twice what it was 2 years ago. Now, if we take a look at these right here, back in June of 22 this year, and then also back in August of 22 this year, it went up all the way to almost $10. But we're still paying more than twice as much as we were a couple of years back. And why is that? Well, I want to go over some information with you, and then I'm going to tell you exactly why it is that we're paying so much for natural gas. And the reason is because this winter is going to prove to turn a lot of middle-class homes into poor homes, meaning that they're going to be energy poor. But why is that? Is it because there's a shortage of natural gas? Well, currently they're saying that there's a shortage of natural gas, but I don't see it that way. I see it the opposite way. You see, ladies and gentlemen, we have in the United States of America alone all of the natural gas that we would ever need for the next 100+ years. But then why aren't we using it? Well, it goes back to that they want to get rid of fossil fuels, which to me makes no sense with natural gas. Because if you do a little bit of research, and you can do this on your own, I've already done it myself, but I didn't pull up any of those sites. If you do a little research, natural gas outputs a lot less CO2 into the atmosphere than all of your other conventional biofuels or fossil fuels. It's a lot less by multiples. So if they're so worried about bringing down the concentration of CO2 in the atmosphere, if they're so worried about that, why don't they instead shift over to a fuel that they know works, that we know works, instead of trying to push us into something that we know doesn't work, like solar panels and wind turbines. All right, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that still think that these things work, they don't. They make a great complement. They complement fossil fuels, which is a good thing, because whenever the sun is out, guess what? You're getting energy. That's great. And it's not coming out of the earth. It's not being drilled or anything like that. So it's a good complement. But what happens when there is no sun? What happens when there is no wind? What happens when you can't get the materials that you need in order to build the facilities that can store that excess energy that will get a community, a country, a state, whatever it is, through a period of where there's no sun and no wind? Well, what happens? A lot of people are going to find out this winter, because there's going to be rolling blackouts in a lot of countries that are forsaking their people to achieve an agenda that is not achievable, ladies and gentlemen, unless human beings suffer at a great scale. Now, I want to go over this for you real quick. It may seem like a dry subject, but it won't be a dry subject to you come this winter if you find yourself paying 2, 3, 4 times more to heat your home than what it normally costs you during what I like to call the good years. And I will leave the link to all of these sites on a pinned comment so you can come and revisit them. But the first one here that we're going to visit is from the EIA, the U.S. Energy Information Administration. And I pretty much just punched into this into a search engine. Natural gas explained. How much natural gas is left? Ladies and gentlemen, right now there is so much natural gas left to draw out of the earth that when you find yourselves paying, like I said, 3, 4, 5 times more, some countries are paying 10 times more than what they were just to have some energy, that it is going to disgust you when you know that your politicians are living in a nice warm home this winter, when you are becoming energy poor because you just can't afford to pay for the energy, and they're shutting off your electricity because they don't have enough natural gas to provide you with the electricity you need, when we have all that we need for the next 100 years. Now, before we get into this, let me explain. I do believe that we should start shifting away from fossil fuels. Why? I don't know if this is true or not, but I would guess that fossil fuels are finite, that eventually they will run out. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if there's a little, group of, people down in the middle of the earth cranking out natural gas and cranking out oil. I don't know. If that's something that replenishes itself, I have no idea. I've heard people say that it is, but I don't know. So I think that it is a good idea to be shifting away to something that is renewable, to some kind of technology that will keep us away from the fossil fuels that we can be better dependent on, that it will be there for us forever, that we don't have to drill and stuff like that. I believe that that technology is out there. However, it has not been released to the populations yet. Why? In my opinion, and I'll get a little conspiratorial here, it's because, ladies and gentlemen, without energy, what are we going to do? There's a lot of power that an entity holds when they hold the power of energy. So if they do come out with some kind of energy that is free energy, what kind of power are they going to hold over you, ladies and gentlemen? It's just like food. Well, here, if we come down, I'll read this to you. It says, according to the U.S. crude oil and natural gas proved reserves, year-end 2020, right? As of December 31st, 2020, U.S. total natural gas proved reserves estimated as wet gas total about 473.3 trillion cubic feet. Well, what does that mean to you, ladies and gentlemen? I mean, what does it mean to you? 473.3 trillion cubic feet. Well, let's go ahead and find out how much natural gas the U.S. consumes on an annual basis. So I came over here again to the EIA, and I pretty much put in natural gas usage. And down here they have something that tells you this is how much we used in all these years. And here's 2020, okay? 2020, 2021. So in 2021, last year, we used 30.6 trillion cubic feet of natural gas. Let's go back over here. Well, we can see that we had, as of the end of 2020, we had about 473 trillion cubic feet. Let's take out a calculator and see what that amounts to. So we got 473 trillion divided by 31.6 trillion. That gives us 15 years. 15 years of natural gas. But AP, that's not 100 years. That's right, that's not 100 years. This here, 473 trillion cubic feet of natural gas we have, is natural gas that we are already tapping into, that we are already extracting from. However, let me take you down a little bit and read this for you. What are undiscovered, technically recoverable sources? This is what geologists have said that we still have to be able to pump out of the earth. We're just not drilled into those resources now. So for example, let's say that you know that there is an aquifer under a state, but it's not being drilled. There's no wells going down to it. That aquifer is this, but this in this case is gas. Well, in this case, we have 2,867 trillion cubic feet, ladies and gentlemen. 2,867 trillion cubic feet. Now, when we take that 2,867, let's get our calculator out again. When we go 2,867 of natural gas that we have not tapped into yet, and we add it to the natural gas that we have tapped into, 473, that equals 3,340 trillion cubic feet. These numbers are incredible. 3,340 trillion cubic feet of natural gas that we can still use. And then when we take that and we divide it by 31 trillion a year, roughly is 30.6 trillion, but we'll say 31. Ladies and gentlemen, we have well over 100 years of natural gas left that we can use. And what bothers me is this, is if natural gas is such a clean gas, and it is, it's a lot cleaner. You see, I don't go by this thing that CO2 is bad for the earth. That's my opinion alone. I'm not a professional, I'm not a geologist, I'm not a scientist, but I just use common sense. When the atmosphere is made up of only 0.04% CO2, I don't believe that CO2 is causing anything. But then again, that's my opinion. When you look back hundreds of millions of years and you see the levels of CO2 in the atmosphere compared to now, there were 20, 30, 40 times more than what it is now. Actually, 200 times more than what it is now. And there were no SUVs, there were no people industrializing or anything like that back then. It makes you wonder, where did that CO2 come from at that time? And are we really responsible for the 0.04% of the CO2 that is in the atmosphere today? But that's just me thinking out loud. But if that is the case, where these fossil fuels that we are using is the problem, then why wouldn't they use natural gas? Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you why. 125 ways that the Biden administration and Congress have made it harder to produce oil and gas. It all comes down to policy. It all comes down to an agenda. They want to take away fossil fuels. Why? Because it's going to have a lot more control over you than what they have now, with fossil fuels being used so that our economy can prosper. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and they can reach their agenda more easily than without it, or than with the fossil fuels. There's an agenda behind all of this, ladies and gentlemen, and you can make up your own mind as far as what it is. Some people say it's depopulation. They want to depopulate the earth because energy equals food. Energy equals life. Without fossil fuels, without that energy, do you really think that we're going to have the population in the earth that we currently have? I believe not. Because the less energy that we can actually produce and use, the less energy that we're going to have to feed bodies. And without energy, without food, and fossil fuels equals food. Natural gas equals fertilizer. Fertilizer equals food. Without fertilizer, ladies and gentlemen, the population of this earth will be reduced greatly. So if we stop producing natural gas, we're going to have to stop producing fertilizer. And without fertilizer, again, like I said, there will be not enough food to feed everyone in the world, no matter what. So let's just go through a few of these. On January 20th, 2021, they canceled the XL pipeline, restricted domestic production by issuing a moratorium on all oil and natural gas leasing activities. Why the natural gas, though, when natural gas is so clean? He also restored and expanded the use of government-created social costs of carbon metric to artificially increase the regulatory costs of energy production of fossil fuels when performing analysis, as well as artificially increase the so-called benefits of decreasing production. Remember that? I'm going to put all you coal companies out of business. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see. On January 27, 2021, he issued an executive order announcing a moratorium on new oil and gas leases on public lands. Do you really think that they're doing this because they care about the environment? That's the question. So when you're freezing this winter, when you can't afford to buy food because you have to pay so much to keep your home warm, and not even keep your home warm, just keep it sustainable. Many people will be cold this winter and still be hungry because they will be cold because they're only able to heat their homes just enough to be sustainable. You see, I live in Alaska, ladies and gentlemen. Let me show you. Here's the temperature of my bunker. It's 60 degrees. I hope you can see that. It's 60 degrees down there. Outside is 12 degrees, I believe, right? Yes. I can handle 60 degrees. No problem. But people this winter are going to be living in less than 60 degree weather, and they're going to have rolling blackouts. Why? Because this administration refuses to use the natural resources that we have. Why? Because they have an agenda. We have over 100 years worth of natural gas under our feet, and it's not being used. Why? They're not letting us create new refineries. They're not letting us drill. And what are they doing? Nothing. There's nothing. Have you heard of, a plant that's putting out 1 billion or 49 billion solar panels? Because that's about how many solar panels it would take in order to provide energy to every home in the United States of America. Roughly 50 billion. It's an impossible task. If everyone only knew that it is an impossible task to have enough solar panels, at least the ones that we have now, to be able to provide energy for every home in America. It's an impossible task. Now, am I saying that they're not working on technologies that maybe in the next 10, 20, 30 years would actually allow us to have that availability of energy through some kind of a new solar panel that's a lot more energy efficient, etc., etc., etc.? No, but they should wait until we have that technology available before they shut off the spigot. Now, this was just a quick video, ladies and gentlemen. I just wanted to put this out there. That way, for those of you that think that we're going to be able to successfully transition over to solar panels and over to wind turbines, we're not going to. And you'll see that. But by the time that we realize that, there will have been a lot of people that did a lot of suffering, and there's going to be a lot of death around the world because we need energy in order to live. Having said that, I hope that you have a great day. If you didn't check out the video that I put out this morning, it was a fun video, so go check it out, and I'm pretty sure that you'll enjoy it. Other than that, thank you very much for joining in, ladies and gentlemen. Remember to be good to each other. When good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place, and you know that it will be a better place. Many blessings to all of you and your families. God bless America. I'm Alaska Prepper, and I am out.